Once in a while, when we're on holiday, we meet some friends. They're not friends at the beginning, but they become friends quickly. And there's a common bond that you share with them almost right overnight. And my guest today is a young lady, Kym Dias, who's Canadian, but lives in Palm Springs in the same property that my wife and I have a place in. And we've had a few drinks over the years that we've been there, and got friendly with the Kym, and have learned that she's a pretty skilled negotiator when it comes to the real estate business. In fact, in Palm Springs, she pretty much solely sells real estate, not only to Canadians, but to Americans, to anybody. And I thought as the flights are now beginning to start from Vancouver to Palm Springs, that there will be people who would, in the back of their minds, would be saying, I think maybe, I'd like to move to Palm Springs. I'd like to acquire a property in Palm Springs. And so that was the reason I said, Kym, why don't you come on and tell us a little about the Palm Springs atmosphere, how you buy property and what you should look for and what you shouldn't look for. And so my guest today is my good friend who literally lives around the corner from us in our property in Palm Springs. And I'm so grateful that you're here and doing this. And so welcome to the Canadian audience.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Peter, for having me. It's a real pleasure for sure. Very grateful.
When did you decide that you would be in the sales profession side of the real estate industry in Palm Springs?
Yeah, so funny. So this is one position in sales that I never ever thought I would find myself in, but helping people, working with people, and housing was always been a passion of mine. So after being here for a couple of years, we've been here about 6.5 years now. After 2 years of doing the volunteering in the two schools, the elementary and the middle school, I decided it was maybe time to start working again and get out there for myself and for my family. And I had coffee with a girlfriend and she had said, I'm doing the real estate course. And I said, that's what I've always wanted to do. And she said, you should. So I went home, signed up that day. And within a couple of weeks, I was taking the course. And I was so pleased. I just did it. Didn't overthink it, just took it. And it's been over 4 years now that I've had my license. And I've had some amazing opportunities just through doing this one role here in Palm Springs. So
you were telling me that you actually took the test in Los Angeles, which means you had to drive from Palm Springs to Los Angeles, which is about a 2-hour drive. And you took the test and all you knew that you passed or failed. You didn't know what the grade is. Is that normal down there?
Apparently, I was like, I even asked her, I said, can you tell me what I got? I'd love to know. And she said, unfortunately, no, it's just pass or fail. And like you said, it's a 2-hour typically on paper, that drive, but I think we allowed at least 4.5 hours. So yeah, a few hours to sit and stew and just keep reviewing my notes and pray I pass it, because I did not want to do that drive one more time. It all worked out.
So tell me, we've had a place in Palm Springs for almost 5 years. We haven't used it for 2 of those years. But what are some of the major indications that the real estate business is doing well in Palm Springs?
Oh my goodness, it was been on fire since last July. It was when it peaked. And who knew that through a pandemic that we would run into this kind of environment? I've talked to real estate agents that have been agents here for 10, 20, 30 years, and they're like, we have never seen such a situation ever before. And it's been so hard to predict what the next thing is, what's going to happen, or prices even. I mean, prices, the poor appraisers are running ragged and having a hard time keeping up, because our prices have increased about 30% as on average over last year's prices. And we are just running low, absolute low on inventory. So I think it's, a combination of people realizing that work isn't a place anymore and they can work from home. And so a lot of the big cities, people are leaving LA. Well, 50% of our market's coming from LA. Of course, we have lots of Canadians typically. And they're buying in our resort town, which is 2 hours away. It's easy to get to. We have a beautiful little airport that's super convenient for people to fly in and out of. And it's more affordable than the big cities. So And it's beautiful all the time. I can't say enough about how beautiful it is here to wake up to, 350 days of sunshine at least. It's pretty nice. You do have to deal with the heat, but no, it's beautiful. So the market has been hot here, low inventory, huge buyer demand. Prices are increasing. So it's very much a seller's market, but it's not a way over the top price yourself out of the market. So it's still affordable.
Did I hear you say that maybe 50% of your potential buyers are from LA, the LA area?
They are.
Now, what we're hearing up here is that they want to escape that fabulous city, but it's a huge city. And 2 hours away, you've got this wonderful town called Palm Springs.
That's right.
Which I think is heaven. Is that pretty much true?
It is. We have everything here. It's kind of small town living, but with big city amenities. We've got the Costco's, the Walmarts, the big Target, I was going to say, and all these beautiful restaurants, movie theaters. There's not a lack of things to do here. That is for sure. I think they're just finding it an easier way of living here too. And you can pull into the parking lot and find a parking spot and have a short walk. It's not, there's not major traffic here. It's really nice, really, really relaxed.
How many of your customers over the course of a year or 2 years would be from Canada?
So I have been dealing with Canadians still. I will unfortunately say it's been on the selling side. Right now, I think just with the restrictions, there are still Canadians that have come into town, and I still have a list of Canadian buyers that want to buy, especially in Morningside. It's just been a bit of a hindrance, unfortunately, with the the lockdown. They can't drive down. They are finding alternate ways to get down, and a lot of them came down at the beginning to get the vaccine. But when I actually talked with my local title company just to try to get numbers for you to say how many people Canadians have bought, but the way she ran it, unfortunately, I couldn't get an accurate number of how many people who have purchased this past year that were just Canadians.
Would your encouragement ever be to a couple that want to invest in Palm Springs, but they can't quite get the exact property that they want, to maybe scale down in their initial investment? And then take a year or 2 years to build up to something that is bigger than what they originally settled for?
I think that's a great idea. Sometimes I would say, oh, maybe renting is a good idea, but they're still expecting the market to go up. They're still expecting prices to go up. I've seen reports anywhere from 10 to 18% over the next year, and they're expecting mortgage rates to stay low. One report I read, they were expecting it to maybe close the year out at 3.5%, maybe by the end of next year, they're estimated 4.2. We're currently just under 3% right now. So I think that buying now, allowing your investment to grow, earning a bit of equity is not a bad idea. I think it's better than renting for sure.
Is it pretty easy for Canadians to get a mortgage in California, Palm Springs?
Yes, I have, good contacts to work with, because I know just from experience when we first moved down here, you have that little bit, depending on who you go to, it's almost like you're from Mars and you've got, amazing equity in Vancouver, Canada, and they don't recognize it. So now I know who to work with to get that done. We do have a lot of cash buyers. Obviously that helps the situation. It is definitely doable.
Does the US Canadian dollar come into the equation very often, or?
People definitely watch it, where they might have their eye on a place and wait, but they typically don't. It's not a determining factor.
Is there one skill or one benefit that works better than any other when the house is not exactly perfect, but they need to have, let's call it a starter home. It's not really a starter home, but they've got to get, I think you've got to get into the marketplace and then jockey for position. Yeah.
I think just having good bones, making sure that you're not going to take on a property. You have a good home inspector that's going to point out all the key, anything that key issues with it possibly, and just give you a good rundown on the house so you don't close and find out that you have to dump $20,000 into it to upgrade it. Having said that, what sellers do here in California is it's not required, but it is common practice, standard practice, that the seller pays for a 1-year home warranty for the buyer. So should anything break down, your hot water tank, your AC unit not work, it's a quick phone call. It's a $75 call out fee, and you get it fixed, and you keep getting it fixed until they can't fix it, and then they will replace it. So that has been an excellent feature.
So what do you like the most about being a realtor in Palm Springs?
So beautiful here that I love showing every property. People are happy typically when they come out and look. It's very exciting. It's many of them at secondary homes for them. I love working with people and making sure they get the right property and it's the right fit. I don't like trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole. That's very frustrating. And I don't find that people are doing that. It's not a panicked buying situation or environment we have right now. Buyers are still being choosy, and they're still, holding true to what they want, which I totally respect. And I think they should do that, because I think buyers' remorse is not a good thing. And I don't ever want my clients to feel that. So.
What's the most interesting experience or challenge you faced in selling realtor down there?
There's a few different ones, but I would say sometimes people's unrealistic expectations. But I think that just takes time again, and that's just all about educating people on, if they have this expectation that, 500,000 or $1 million is going to get them this, that, and the other thing, that we just keep looking, and they will finally, they start to kind of whittle down what is more important to them. If it's location, if it's the layout of the house, if it's the fact, that it has a pool or doesn't, if it's in a different city. So that's what our job is as agents, is you start out kind of a little bit broad. You say, here's the different areas. This is what you can expect in these different cities. And, from out in La Quinta, just know that if you're picking up people constantly at the airport, that's going to be a little bit longer of a drive than if you prefer to have a house in Rancho Mirage, where it's half the drive. And then do you want gated or non-gated? Because a lot of communities here they're gated. So they have an HOA, a homeowners association that is new. It's not very typical for Canadians to have that. I know that's similar to a strata, but these are single family homes that have HOA dues. So I think there's a lot of different things that people have to understand buying in this market too. The heat is everything here. You have to understand that your electricity bills are going to be a bit higher, a lot higher. Solar is a good thing. The heat, again, the sun eats everything. So you have to know that when you start furnishing and you put outdoor furniture outside, it has to be probably sunbrella, and you need to cover it. Your water is cheaper here. There are different areas there's Southern California Edison electricity, and then it's called an IID, the Imperial Irrigation District, that's about 30% cheaper, and that's more east. So you can find a house that has a little bit cheaper utilities, but then you give up a little bit of location. There are a few small pockets in Rancho Mirage that do fall into that. And so there's just little tips and tricks that I've learned over the years to be able to pass that on to buyers, to understand what's important.
So based on what you're saying, it would seem to me that it's quite easy for a Canadian to purchase, let's say, a summer home or a winter home in Palm Springs.
It is. We typically require a 3% earnest money deposit. So that is something that they will have to be aware of. So 3% of the purchase price is required at acceptance of an offer. And there's no other difference really. When you go to sell, there's some other, the government there's withholding tax. They want to make sure you're all paid out before you take your money out of the country. But again, I work with an amazing escrow and a really good CPA company that does this for Canadians. So I have lots of contacts that I work with to make my transactions go a lot more smoothly.
So what advice would you give for someone coming down to Palm Springs? What kind of homework do they need to do here? Do they need to make sure they've got access to the funds, or they've got all the funds, or they can get a line of credit at the bank down there? Do they have to do some pre-planning themselves before they start looking at houses?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely. So coming down, understanding what their budget is, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know, and if they want to increase it, that's fine, but you kind of have to have a rough number of how much you're willing to spend on a home. So if you're getting a loan, you need to have a pre-approval letter that's valid. It's recent, it has your name on it, current date, you know, the address of the company, name of the company that you're getting it from. It's not just a piece of paper. You can have a copy of your bank statement, wherever you're going to pull funds from to prove that you have that cash, if you're doing a cash purchase. We really do need that. Sellers, again, it used to be kind of common practice, a good practice. Now it's more standard. People, as agents, we have to vet our buyers before we take them out to look in people's homes now. So we need to know that they are qualified for sure. So make sure you know that. You can, I mean, we can have phone conversations, you know, before you even land, before you get here. I can start directing you, tell me what you're looking for. I can give you suggestions on what areas to look at. I can email you links to homes. So you start looking and you can tell me, no, I don't like that style of home. I prefer the mid-century modern, or I want more Mediterranean. So there's a lot of homework we can do before you get here and start looking at houses, because the key is to not waste time, right? It has to be quality time spent when you're out there looking, especially in the warmer months. It's going to be warm, so we want to make it worthwhile.
What do you like the best about being a realtor in Palm Springs?
It's exciting. It's always different. Every single deal is different. I'm constantly learning. There is so much to know in real estate, and it does take years. And, you know, if I don't have an answer today, I will certainly get it. I love having people come back in and be so happy with their purchase. You know, I work in an office in a country club, and people will stop by the office and just sit and chat. I love that. I like making connections and relationships with people. It's not just a one and done, you know, hey, I work for you and that's it. No, I want to build friendships with other, and I really do have friendships with a lot of these people, and we'll go for lunch. And that is what is important to me, making sure people are happy and have been treated well. I just want to educate people as much as I possibly can, be as helpful as I can, you know, just use me as a resource. You know, I've been here for almost 7 years. I've raised a family here now. My husband works here full time. We have friends, you know, that come to visit. So I kind of know some of the different fun things to do. And I just want to be that resource where people can, it's not just real estate, but whatever they need. But as far as real estate goes, yes, let me send you some properties, because again, we're super low on inventory, unfortunately, and I don't want them to be disappointed and come down and expect to see 15 houses. I literally might not have 5 houses to show them, you know, right this month. We're hoping next month, we're kind of going now into season pretty soon, where we typically see an uptick in listings. And then for the next 6 months or so, because our season is kind of November 1st to May 31st here, but we do start to see people coming in October. So we're really hoping that as people come into town, especially now that the Canadians, the borders are open again, that they can come down, get their house ready, maybe have one last holiday, get it ready to sell, and then sell it. Not that we want Canadians leaving, don't get me wrong, but I know that's been a reason for a lot of people that have called. They're just like, we can't get it organized. I want to take some of my furniture. I don't want to give it all away. Totally understandable. So I think that once this gets opened up here, we're going to have a really busy season.
On a few trips to Palm Springs, at least once a trip, Kay and I might be in a store, what have you, and the lady bringing up the groceries or whatever we happen to be buying says, "You're Canadian, right?" "Yes." "I have a job because of Canadians. Thank you for shopping my store."
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a very good PR move. And they say it sincerely. They're not just saying it because they were Canadians. They say, "I have a job because you Canadians shop here. Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need them back. I need more supplies at Home Sense or no Home Goods here. Because when everybody's in town, all the stores are full and we have so much selection, and it's definitely taken a toll on everybody.
Kym who is a dear friend of mine from Palm Springs, happens to be Canadian. Her husband's Canadian as well. And she's in the realtor business in Palm Springs. She's very exceptionally talented, understands the business, understands needs, and has a pulse on the fingers of all the available properties on the particular week or month that you have to be going there. So my recommendation is call Kym. On the bottom of this screen, we will put the phone number and how you get a hold of her. And I wish you well. And if you do make the decision to buy in Palm Springs, we'll buy you a drink.
Oh, that'd be nice. But yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We'll all go out.
Okay. Thank you, Kym. See you in about a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks.
Bye-bye.